The angels online. The angels online. The angels. The angels. The angels online.
Good people, good people. Good people, good people. Good people, good people. Good people, good people.
Good people, good people. Woo-wee! What's going on, y'all? This Angel with the Angels Online, and we are on season 4, episode 1. We are calling this episode Journey Through Grief. We have individuals who have been dealing with grief, who have dealt with grief, but we all know that grief is a long process. It doesn't stop. We grieve, but we got to keep living at the same time. So we figuring out how we're doing it, who we need to be by our side, what mentally we got going on, the whole 9 yards. So we're going to talk about it. We have all these special guests. We're going to start with the one right here on the line with me. Go ahead, ma'am. What's your name? Talk to us and where you at?
People, good people. Latanya Davis here. I am from St. Louis, and I'm currently 5 hours away in Maryville, Missouri. I am an employee at Northwest Missouri State University, and thank you for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're going to start with across from me. Go ahead, sir. What's your name?
My name is Daniel. Go by DJ. I'm from St. Louis. Traveled to North Carolina, but I'm back here, so thank you for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful. How old are you?
I'm 15.
15. All right. Wonderful. We got a 15-year-old right here. Next to him, who we got? Talk to us.
My name is Aisha. I'm from St. Louis and 14.
14. Speak up for me. The Asian women, you from where?
St. Louis,
And you how old?
14.
That's what I'm talking about. Next to me, who we got? Talk to me.
Hello, how are you doing? My name is Kaylee. I am a mental health professional. I work with youth. So I just want to tell my story and, help kids deal with grief and tell them a little bit about my story.
All right. So next to me, I got.
It's Dante, president of the car group here in St. Louis, from St. Louis.
Wonderful. The car group. What's the car group, sir?
It is a mental health and wellness firm. We specialize in social and emotional disorders, and really most other things concerning mental health.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I love it. All right. So we're going to start off with some questions. Everything is about questions or whatever. We're going to start and figure out how Journey Through Grief relates to you in your way of grieving, or who you dealt with, who you lost. Of course, we lost someone probably. Most likely everyone in here did. And that's how I picked out my guests to find them. So we're going to start with the one online. How does this topic relate to you, dear?
Well, grief is something that I've experienced throughout my life, but it started in, I'd say, 2002, after my brother passed. And that's where I learned a lot about mental health, because 5 years later, I experienced PTSD. And it relates to me in that he struggled with it, and I really didn't know much about it before then. And I got to do my research and learn a lot about mental health. So, yeah.
Thank you. Daniel, how does this topic relate to you?
It hits home because I lost my dad at the age of 12.
Okay.
Then 2 years later, I lost my uncles. So
Uncles?
Plural,
okay.
both on my dad's side. So
Okay.
it really hits home because at first I didn't know how to grieve with it. I didn't know how to respond or react to the trauma responses. So and now I understand that I'm still walking through the stages of grief. So
Good. Thank you. Aisha, how does this relate to you?
I lost my uncle, and then 5 months later, I lost my best friend. I was real close to him.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going through it.
There you go. Not a problem. Okay. Kaylee?
Unfortunately, in 2019, I lost my boyfriend that I was with for 5 years. And then I lost my uncle, and then I lost my great-grandmother.
Okay. Dr. Cara.
Well, I've been trying to figure this out all day
Okay.
because I honestly don't think I've ever experienced grief. And I know that's surprising because everybody usually does at some point in life. But I think I've experienced crippling sadness, which sadness obviously is much different from grief. But I don't think I've ever experienced grief in its literal definition. I think I don't want to experience it either because I know what that looks like. But I know the closest I probably come to that is losing my mom. But I honestly didn't grieve for that because of other situations and kind of how my life has been shaped. But yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Do you want to give us information about grief
Well,
for these young people who are at the table?
yeah, so the young man here across from me did say that he was working through the stages of grief. So obviously he knows that there's layers to grief, which I think a lot of people don't know. But I did write down some notes here as to what
Okay,
the
let's
seven,
go.
the
Let's
seven.
go. Give the people what they want.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna try. So it starts obviously with the initial shock and denial of whatever it is that brought the feeling of grief on, or what the situation or circumstance, whether it's loss or any of the other things, and then it goes straight into pain and guilt. Now, when my mom died, I didn't necessarily have the shock or denial because I was well aware that it had happened, but I did feel pain and guilt, right? And then it goes to anger and bargaining. Now, ironically, I did go through that stage as well because I became furious at everybody. And then it goes to the feelings of depression, which is also associated with crippling sadness. And then, at some point, you get to what they call the upward turn. This is when your body starts and your brain starts to regulate and realize what's going on, and you start to heal. That's the reversal, coming back to your normal self. And then the reconstruction and working through, which is what your body does, is when it's realized, hey, this is the new normal. Let's cope with this and move forward. And then the final step being the acceptance and hope, which I think a lot of people rarely get to, in all honesty, because that thing keeps popping up.
That
if
reminder keeps going.
every
That
time,
trigger.
it could be a smell, a song.
Yeah.
And rare. I think they said 80% of people never make it to the acceptance and the hope part.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Latanya on the line. What are some challenges that you have faced as you deal with grief?
Different challenges I've experienced is one of the main ones is just accepting the fact that I was grieving. Another challenge would be not understanding the feelings and not knowing how to explain it to people. Because some people can relate to it. Some people have no idea what you're going through. So you got to find those right people to talk to. And you mentioned before, finding the right people to surround yourself with, not knowing how to quote unquote fix it. And obviously you want it to end immediately, people do that in different ways, using drugs and alcohol, but in other ways, but just trying to find a way to cure it, to fix it, right?
Yes. What are some challenges, Kaylee? What are some challenges that you may have faced when you were dealing with it? What are some challenges?
So I would say with my uncle and my great grandmother was 104 when she passed, so that one was expected. My uncle's was not. I cried and everything, but I think losing my boyfriend was because he was the first person that I've ever lost that was close to me. So that one really, really hurt. So I think the challenges for me that I went through with that one was the acceptance part. That he's gone, he's not coming back, so I had to learn how to navigate life without him because, like I said, we had been together for 5 years. I've lived with this person, woken up to this person. So I think acceptance and moving on was the challenges that I really faced with that one.
Okay. Aisha, what are some challenges that you face? I know I talked individually. Go ahead.
Not being able to see him like almost every single weekend, not being able to do things with him, like the conversations that we did have, I cannot have that with anybody else because it was mainly just a me and him type thing, and I don't think nobody will really understand what he said or what he did with me.
Yeah, that's huge. Go ahead.
So when people try and like help or try and be like him, it's like you can't really do that.
That's right.
You can't really say, "Oh, I'm gonna try and help you with this because he did this for you," and it's like you cannot bring
Can't bring
that
him back.
by saying something that he did.
That feeling that he gave you, the sense of safety,
Yeah.
security, and everything. What about, because you're young, what about even, because in your situation, you were present when he was taken from you.
Yes.
You were there.
Yes.
You know, so that's a different ball game right there.
Yeah,
know
because
what
I
I'm
don't think I think people see or hear that, oh yeah, my family member passed away, but they don't see it.
Right.
So it's different from when you see it from versus when you hear it.
That's right.
So it was even tougher for me seeing, oh, my uncle is on the ground, is not breathing anymore. And I can see that and I hear that. I can
Right.
hear people yelling in my ear,
Yep.
he's shot, he's not alive. And that right there,
Right. Yeah. How do you deal with that? And at that time, you were, how old are you?
12.
You were 12 then, right?
Yes.
You were 12 years old. 12 years old, you see someone close to you pass away. So therefore, you know, you dealing with a challenge of not only just is he gone, but the fact that you had to sit and watch it happen to him.
Yes.
And then the challenges of dealing with, you know,
Post-traumatic stress, I mean.
come on. Yes, this is,
Trauma.
That's it. You know, but she don't know those words. That's why she's on this episode right now. So you can learn those things.
Yeah.
You know, that's serious trauma right there. And then people won't understand it, and especially if you're in school, then it affects you, you know, educationally as well, and in those aspects. But we're gonna get to that. Thank you so much, Daniel. Go ahead, sir. Challenges. What? Talk to me.
Well, it's all been said.
Before you start, I
and-
just want to say you got a really nice shirt on, my man.
Thank you.
You clean, huh? Woo! Let me find out.
It's a lot has already been said. I'm where everybody else is with it. Well, biggest piece for me was having to go, one, to his funeral, and two,
Dad's funeral.
yes,
Okay.
and two, to still have to go to the house that he was killed at.
Okay.
You know, cause like she said, you know, people trying to tell you the good memories and all the good things that he did and all this isn't going to bring her back, you know. So
Speaking that mic now. Speaking that mic. Talk to us.
I'm not going to say that the memories aren't good. I'm not going to say that they aren't a helpful thing, but it's also like you're telling me something that is going to lead me to false hope, you know. So it's not going to get me anywhere in the, you know, in the grieving stage. Now, not going to say that it does. It's not because I know they're trying to use it as words of encouragement or words of trying to help, but you know, it gives a feeling of you're trying to not replace, but you're trying to make it like you're trying to ease the blow of the situation. You know, so yeah, really, two hardest parts was going to his funeral and
Going back to where he was killed.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Man, look here. 15 and 14. Y'all got a voice. I hear you.
Oh, and Ms. Rhonda, could I
Go ahead.
You said
Aisha's sitting right here. Anytime you ask a question, you got to get a good people. Come on now.
I can speak on from the schooling and all of that. Cause I had a mental breakdown at school.
Okay.
About 3 months ago. And I didn't know how to deal with it, you know, because it was like, man, like the feelings were just hitting me left and right. Like I'm telling you, walking down the hallway and you just began to cry, you know, like there's nothing you could do. And I had to ask myself, you know, what would I do that make him happy? You know, what could I do in life to make him happy? You know, and it got to a point where like, that's why I said football was my way out. Football is my life. You know, football is my avenue. That's what I do. You know, I can release everything on the field. You know, that's why I pay so, like, I was always taught, you know, pay attention first, ask questions later. You know, that's why you've been given 2 ears, 1 mouth, because you got to listen to everything and take it in before you ask or talk about it, because you ain't always going to know how something play out, you know. So about like the schooling and all of that, it's not gonna be easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it ain't gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy.
Come on, talk to us.
Especially
I
because it's
think
like
that-
a loud, like it's like everybody in the hallway, and it's like me. I don't like sharing my feelings. Like I don't like crying in front of nobody or anything. So if I'm at school and it's like counselor saying, "Oh, you come to me, you can come to me," it's like it's really like, can I really come to you? Cause
Come on.
like I don't, cause
Come
I
on.
would go in the bathroom in the stall and just bawl my eyes out. Cause I don't like. It's like you can trust people, but you can't really trust people at the school. You don't know what they might go and do or tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did that, it's like I let everything out, and then it'd be like months before I let it all back out again. So like now I really got all of this like really stuck inside of me, and it's like I really don't know what to do anymore.
Well, the thing about that is I don't think a lot of people understand grief. I think we get so caught up on just trying to quickly move forward. We go to the funeral and then think everything's supposed to be over after you eat the fried chicken and the potatoes. But most
The meal
times,
options you
hey,
get.
listen
What about
here.
the salad?
Come on here. You know
Can't
what
forget
we
about
have.
the collard green.
You know what we have. You've been there, my man. Listen.
Yeah.
But what we don't understand is grief is probably the most patient thing in the world, right? So we throw ourselves, we try to, numb the grief by throwing ourselves into football or just trying to quickly move on to your life. But what grief will do is wait until all of that is over and then pop up and say, hey, I'm still here.
Yep.
Let's deal with this. So, I mean, you could be going on your way, thinking you're super cool with it, thinking, that's over with. And then all of a sudden grief will just pop up in the middle of your day. And at that point, it ain't nothing but you and the grief, and you got to deal with it. I think that we need to learn, and I don't hope I'm not jumping it too far ahead, but I think
No, I love it.
that
Please
we need
keep
to
going
we need
because
to focus and
flowing.
really soak into whatever it is that caused us grief. You have to deal with that thing. You got to lay there with it. Submerge yourself in it and then play it out. And the good thing about that, there's a way to do that. There's a specific way to do that we get so caught up on socially and culturally that we avoid. We will go all the way around the corner instead of landing our grief. Yeah. And guess what's going to be at the end of the road? That grief's going to still be there.
Still be there.
Yeah.
You know what? You couldn't have said that better because when I experienced my episode with my brother passing in 2002, I didn't experience PTSD till 5 years later because he passed away while I was away in college. And I went home, I had the potato salad, had the funeral, and then I came back and I finished school. So it hit me when I went back home and I realized he's not here. 5 years later, I was diagnosed with PTSD and depression. And it was something I had to do. I had to learn how to cope with it. Like you said, how you manage it. And that's when I started therapy.
And that's the thing. So what grief does, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but what grief does, whether you feel it, whether you see it, whether you deal with it, it rests comfortably on your nervous system, right? So you might think, oh, I'm focused on this, so I don't really focus on how I'm feeling. I think I'm good. But then when you feel yourself like getting less interested in the things that you were at one point interested in, don't feel like doing the things, the grief is there. It's just chilling. It's just chilling on your nervous system. So you're going to be high anxiety. You're going to be stressed out. You're probably going to have depression, and you're going to think that you're okay because you've gotten so used to how that feels, right? Until your body just get wore down and it explodes in a form of an episode.
And can I say this?
Yeah. Yes.
I saw an Instagram tweet, I want to say like 2 days ago.
Okay.
And the girl was cool. She had posted a TikTok. Like if you comment with Instagram, you see they post their TikToks like the little slideshows. And she posted and it said, I'm just a girl. And then she gave a paragraph describing her life, the trauma that she's been through, all of it. And basically just letting it all go, And I texted her and I'm like, do you want to talk about it, And she blew up on me, like she just let it all go. She's going in, crying through the messages, like letting it be what it is, And I told her, I said, the one thing, I can't give you your answer,
Come on.
Me personally, I can't, but I know one man that can. And I pointed her to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ can give you anything you need.
Right now, sir.
My point, and it's sad because it's like this generation has been taught, you cry, you weak. You don't. You
Come on.
better talk to the
Come on,
people.
Daniel. He's
you,
speaking.
you don't. You cry. You weak. If you let it all go, you don't know what you're doing. You know. If you point like, it's sad because it's like I shared with you in class. You know, this generation don't expect to live past 21. You know. So when you cry, it shows signs of I don't know what I'm doing in life. I don't know, but that's okay.
It is.
You know, because you're not supposed to have it all right now. You're not supposed to. That's why they call it life. You know, life is supposed to show you things that that your mama can't show you. You know,
It's an experience.
That's what I'm
what it
saying.
is.
You know, that's why they're called math problems for a reason. You know, because you're supposed to find the solutions to every math problem.
Come, you better say
You know,
that.
so I was, and it's sad because it's like I go to school with kids that deal with trauma, that deal with, you know, one of my friends tragically. Their front door just got kicked in because of something their big brother did. You know? And he doesn't know what he's doing now. You know, like he doesn't know how to grief himself. You know? My brother did something now. Me and my mama can't lay our heads down safe. You know? And I told him, even then, like now I've realized it's only one thing I could do, you know, in this situation. Point him to Jesus. Point him to God. Because I can't do it. You know? Works
Yeah,
without,
you really don't want to take on that weight either.
Yeah.
I understand that, but also it's a thing of works without is faith is either faith without faith without works is dead. You get what I'm saying? I can't do anything without pointing them to God. You know, because I'm flesh. You know, flesh can't do anything. You know, like I understand what you were saying. The nerves. The grief sits on your nervous system, you know, all of that. I understand all of that because, like you said, the football, all of that, like football copes, but it doesn't cope. You get what I'm saying?
It's a
like,
distraction.
It's
That's
a
what I'm saying.
mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Because y'all talking. I don't even gotta ask no questions. Yeah, because that was the next one. What's your coping mechanisms? Yours is football. But then I was like, do I ask that or do I ask the unexpected moments, which she mentioned when she was in the hall and she'd go to the bathroom, or when you was at school, you know how you had a breakdown. LaTanya said, you know, when she came back home, she was just like, shoot, man, it's really here. And then, you know, then she deal with your, you know, her, whatever her expected moment is, and she like, wait a minute, this is it, I'm having it. You know, so y'all just preach it to the people at this point, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna just say it because you're at it. Coping mechanisms. What strategies, what have you been using that you feel have been helpful for you that you may not know, it's, you know, like Dr. Carr said, it's still sitting there.
Yeah.
But what do you use to try to get away from it? Or as far as LaTanya, Kaylee, or Dante, you know, like, well, what did you use at the time for you older individuals to get you past it, you know, coping mechanisms? So I'm going to start with you, Daniel, because you were already talking about it. Your coping mechanism, you mentioned football. Go ahead.
I'll say again, football is one of them. Prayer helps a lot. It gets me to a point because for a moment, it releases the burden. You know what I'm saying? It releases everything that I need to be released, you know? And that's why I'm so big on prayer or finding my way in Jesus Christ, you know, finding my way in God, because he says in his word, cast all your cares upon me. You get what I'm saying? I don't have to carry all the burdens or carry all the weights of.
Let him do it.
You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so easy to give it all to him. You know, that's why it's so easy to, and I don't mean to preach on your thing.
No,
I apologize.
Please be great,
But
son.
It's because I know the work and the love that Jesus Christ has put on my life, you know.
What your situations are and what you're going through.
The amazing people that I done met through this. I went to Indianapolis for a trip. I would never forget. I went to Indianapolis for a trip. We on the road, and we stopped at this thing. I took pictures of it. I read it, and in the thing it said something about if you know your purpose, what's stopping you from reaching it? And it was like, it hit me like, I know why I'm here. You know, like I didn't did the smoking, I did the drinking, you know. And at a young age.
At 15.
Man, you know, I did all of it. I didn't try to, because like you said, coping. I didn't try to make it disappear. Because
You lost him at 12.
Man, Didn't
So
know
that
what to
means
do.
you were exposed to those things when he was here, when he was around, and that's what you knew.
Yes, but it became a norm, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, it became something that I was used to. Like, I wouldn't drink to get drunk. I would drink to make it disappear. You know, like I would smoke to make it disappear. I would do these things to make my feelings go away. You know, because when you can't feel your feelings, you can't feel nothing. You know, you numb inside your body. So it's like everything that you want to feel, you can't feel because ain't nothing there. So it's like I got to a point within myself, like I stopped the crying. I stopped because I was listening to the world. The world was telling me, you cry, you weak. You cry, you not a man, you know? So I wanted to prove myself and prove my point to my dad. I am a man, you know? But that's not the way I was supposed to prove it to him. You know, that's not how I was going to make him happy. You know, I was really defeating his name and defeating his purpose on life. Like him in heaven and me on earth is defeating his purpose because I have his full name, you know? So only thing I'm doing is hurting his reputation by going out here doing all the dumb stuff I'm doing.
Come on. Ooh, you got to listen to the Toxic Masculinity episode. That's on season 3. Oh, you got to listen to that. I love it. Aisha, what do you have coping mechanisms? What has helped you thus far? You know, what do you do, or what do you try to do? You know,
I mean, I do 2 sports.
Okay.
I do track and wrestling.
Track and wrestling.
Yes.
Okay.
With wrestling, I mean, with matches, you have to pin somebody to win that whole thing. So you have to try and like really pin them.
Yeah.
So with that, what I do is I really just think of the anger that I have build all up inside of me. Instead of crying, I build up the anger into that match and pin them.
That's what your uncle did, right? He wrestled.
Yeah. He wrestled and did football.
Come on.
And with track, it's like when you think about it, you just want to run harder. And when you run harder, you sprint, and that's what make you win a race. So really, that for me, that really helps me. But I mean, it don't get me through everything.
Right. That's temporary. That's just a sport during the season, right?
Yeah, and like what he said that in this generation, when you cry, people think you're weak. That's why I don't cry in front of people. I don't let my tears out in front of people. I don't tell nobody my feelings.
So we here to tell you right here, when you cry on Angels Online or anytime, that's a strength. It's okay. I cry all the time. Look here. I look.
Cried in the course today.
Grief is serious for me. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, losing my great grandmother was, you know, I went through the depression. I went through, you know, I'm not shy to say this is my show. I have to be honest with people. I went through it. But, you know, doing all of this, I can smile. It's a weight lifting off of my shoulder because she said, keep helping the children. So my job is to give you a platform and to have these adults on here connecting them with you so that you can hear some information and get some ideas and, you know, trying to help yourself navigate, get some professional assistance. Everybody's in different areas. You know, the Angels Online, we focus on personal experience. That's my personal experience.
Yeah, and like, I don't think people understand that your like family members did pass away, and I'm so sorry, but I don't think people understand that when somebody passed away and then somebody else passes away, you don't have time to heal from that first person that passed away. You don't have time. You don't let your body have time to heal. After somebody passed away, you're trying to get through that.
Your mind ain't wrapped around the first one yet.
So when somebody passed away and that all comes, it all comes like deep inside. So that's what happened to me. I mean,
and you young too, so
yeah, and it's like, and it affected me in school too.
Come on, tell me.
My grades went down. I had to hurry up and get that back up before the school year ended. But my grades went down. I wasn't really in class, and like people would keep asking me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm so sorry, but I don't want to be in a room and everybody keep on asking me, "Are you okay?"
Me either.
Because if you keep asking me that, that's gonna make me keep thinking
about it,
and then that's not going to make me okay. So if you say, "Are you okay?" one time, that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. But if you keep saying it, it's gonna make me think of that moment that happened, and I don't want to think of that.
Come on.
Because that's gonna make me go in tears, and I don't want to do that.
Right. I love it. Thank you so much. I was gonna go with you next, Latanya. Say what you was gonna say, and then tell me about your coping mechanisms. Talk to me.
Sure. What I was going to say is, in order to cope, people do lots of things. Some are positive, some are not the most positive. Some people, they decide to take medication. Not everybody agrees with it, but sometimes it works with some people. Same with therapy. Unfortunately, in the Black community, there's a stigma. Don't be telling those people my business. But I fought with that, and I decided to go, and I feel like that's one of the main things that helped me, because I had so much trauma in my brain that it helped me sort all of that out over years and years of therapy. Faith is obviously a great way to cope. Unfortunately, sometimes when people experience grief, it can bring them either toward faith or away from faith. So those are things to keep in mind as well when dealing with that. One thing I did is surround myself with positive people. It's so important to do that in life in general, but especially when you have those positive people around you and you go through grief, they're just the right people to have around you to lift you up whenever you're down. I encourage students that are students, young kids, try to think of things that make you happy. Going for a walk on a nice day. Something as simple as coloring in a coloring book.
Ooh, I love it.
Try something new, something you've never done before, that you might like. During COVID, a lot of people tried new things, like, they started baking or, doing things that they normally wouldn't have done if they weren't locked down like everybody was. But it's so important that you realize things that make you happy and you do them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something expensive. It could be something simple as going outside and just walking, or just calling somebody in your phone book that you haven't talked to in a couple of years. Doing something positive, letting people know how you feel. And if you got those good friends that just listen, there's nothing better. That don't try to tell you how to feel, you need to get over that. That was 5 years ago. Well, you know what? I'm not over it. So what am I going to do now? Well, we need people that are just going to listen in our lives. And so if you got that good friend that's just going to be an ear for you, it is so important that you keep them around, because sometimes we just need to vent, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that surrounding with positive people, that was my number one cope, other than therapy, which helped a lot. So yeah.
Thank you. I love it. Kaylee, what about you? Any specific coping mechanisms or something that you can pinpoint? Go ahead.
So when it happened to me in 2019, so of course that was when COVID was first happened. So my coping skill was unhealthy. I would go out every weekend with my friends because I would try to numb the pain by not thinking about it, by going out, you know what I mean? And then COVID happened. So then we were all stuck in the house. So then I turned to other things like, drinking or, a lot, not a lot, but just, socially drinking too much, I guess. So I really didn't have any healthy coping skills. It wasn't until, I'm currently getting my master's in counseling. So it wasn't until I had to go to therapy for a class, and we had to do 6 sessions with like an intern student. And so that's when I actually did therapy, and I talked about that and I got it out. And then I discovered some things about myself on, internally. And then just, crying it out. I would cry randomly. I remember when it first happened, I literally broke down in outside, and just cried. And I just was like, why? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? My life changed in less than 24 hours. You know what I mean? So I would just cry, and I still cry sometimes. When it first happened, it was really hard for me to talk about. I would cry if I talked about it, what happened. But just surrounding myself around good people now, because when it did happen, I didn't have good people around me. Like, yeah, people were my friends that I thought were my friends, but they were taking advantage of the situation. They taking advantage of me, of what I was going through, and using that, to their advantage. So now in my life, I have good people around me that, if I was to have a breakdown or anything like that, I know that I would be okay.
You guys have all mentioned unexpected moments. So I don't even need to ask that. Dante, do you have anything to add to that? To anything that they've said?
No, I think it's just choosing healthy ways to deal with whatever the issue is.
That's it.
Whatever causing you grief, being intentional on that, because sometimes society can push you in directions to deal with stuff that aren't necessarily the healthiest, but seem to work for other people. So then we try and hope that it works for us, and we get sucked into a loophole or a door hole of not so good activities and behaviors that can ultimately double the consequences. Sometimes we'll realize that what we're doing is not okay, and then we come down harder on ourselves on top of the grief we're trying to mask. So just being intentional on choosing healthy coping mechanisms.
Anybody can answer this first. The relationships that you have with others, because Kaylee just mentioned about people that were around back then when her the one she lost was with or whatnot. Were your relationships affected? Were your relationships affected by your grief? Relationships with friends, family, teachers, or whatnot? I always like to start with the online because everybody here can see each other. So, LaTanya, can you tell us, did you have relationship with others affected by your grief?
Yeah, some friends and family didn't understand like the depression that arise from my grief in my life. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, they think, well, a lot of obviously it was family that passed away.
You'll be
so
okay. Those little comments and.
Yeah, they understand that, but they like, you still, they just don't get it.
You still dealing with that? That was this year, this amount of time ago. Ain't that what we usually hear?
I mean, shit, it was 21 years ago.
Okay, but you know what? It's still it could still be like brand new for people. Like that's huge though, because you can.
It makes you not want to talk about it to certain people if they don't understand your grief.
My secretary asked me today,
Jesus.
"What are you doing for Mother's Day?" I said, "Nothing. I don't have a mother right now." And she said, "Oh no, you should do something to celebrate her and her memory." I said, "Girl,
ma'am, how you gonna tell
I'm
me?
not going back there."
Right.
Ma'am,
You're gonna tell me what I should do.
Take the rest of the day off at this point.
You might not be here tomorrow.
Correct. You already. I'm questioning your judgment. How dare you tell me to celebrate her memory on Mother's Day when everybody else is posting pictures with their mother? And oh no, ma'am.
Let me be great and enjoy my day like I have planned out.
My Sunday.
And it's great. LaTanya said what you just said. It's such a huge thing of why I have the Angels Online, because people shut people down with those conversations. She said it makes you not want to talk about it. You know what I mean? We're sitting at this table right now, and Aisha don't have these conversations every day.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel don't have these conversations every day. My job is to give these kids the tools and the information now. So, 5, 6, 7 years from now, their process is eased up.
Mm-hmm.
They've had conversations. They've talked about it. They know they're not alone in the situation. So I'm glad you said that, LaTanya. I'm really, really glad you said that, because if we got something on our mind, it's not even this topic, just anything, and we with a group of people and it don't seem quote unquote cool to them, right? We're not gonna talk about it. Because don't nobody want to be made fun of. Don't nobody want to, hey, man, we ain't talking about that right now, bro. We finna talk about something else.
Yeah. You hear what she just said, right? What'd you say, Taffy? LaTanya?
What'd you say?
I said it makes you not want to, I forget.
You said it's because they're around the wrong people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're around the wrong people.
Yes.
And, no one should make you feel embarrassed of your grief and your depression.
And that's how, as young people, you should be thinking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's a difference between, a friend and a peer or an associate. I go to work and I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make a difference. I got plenty of those.
And a check.
Okay, that's
Right.
it. You know what I mean? Because that house expensive, you know, and geez, I'm gonna tell you, and angels online, you know. So we gotta get paid somehow. That's what I'm here to do, and I'm here to make a difference. But I'm not here to entertain you, your conversations, and negativity. I don't want any of those things around me. Now we're talking about how we can better this workplace because that's what we're all here. We're in a workplace. We're trying to figure out how we can advance, how we can make it better. At the end of the day, if it's not about that, we don't have anything to talk about. I'm not going to have drinks with you after here because I'm not going to tell you my life because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Because my life is intimate. It's mine.
And it's not even just about like your life being intimate or you not wanting to open up your bubble. You can't open up to everybody.
Correct.
Everybody isn't meant to be opened up to.
Correct.
Because of the fact of you don't know. Like she said it earlier. You don't know who they gonna go tell.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
right. She said the counselor.
That's what I'm
Can
saying.
I really talk to the counselor? I was blessed to have a counselor I could really talk to,
Yeah.
who I still talk to this day. But is it, what are they, you know what I mean? And I had a little girl tell me one time, right? The counselor said, well, why you didn't talk to me about it? She said, well, I want to talk to Miss Ramsey. That was better. I feel like that, and that worked for me. And she told me in private, it was like a weight lifted off her shoulder. You know, a lot of times, maybe that person, that person can't relate. Or you feel like, or you see them in action and you feel like, nah, that's not for me. Because I can see how you act over there. You know, his secretary asked him that. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna. There's certain things I wouldn't talk to her about because there's a lack of understanding there. There's a bit of ignorance that just presented itself that she's not aware of, but I'm aware of because of what I do and maybe what I focus on or whatever.
And a lot of people try to persuade as, oh, I'm just trying to ease the grief on your end. But you have to understand it like this. I can't understand what you're going through if I ain't never been through it. You know what I'm saying? If I don't know how you feel about it, or even if I have been through it, because we can all be through the same thing, but experience it in different ways. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, your secretary said that, but in her instance, she's just trying to put herself in your shoes, if that makes sense.
But the important part on that, on the flip side, is did I ask for that?
Of course.
Did I ask you to try to fix me, help me through this process? No, because external
You probably
assistance
just traumatized me real quick.
The external assistance can rip the Band-Aid off. I don't need you to coach me through this. I need to regulate and deal with this on my own. So I understand the need to, and it's a cultural difference there, but some demographics and some people may feel that they have taken up the role to be savior. Let me fix this person. I see this is bothering you. Let me fix this for you. And that never works, personally or professionally. So unless I call and ask you to do that, never do that. And never allow anyone to do that. Never allow anyone who's not a trained professional to walk you through your process.
Right.
Because at that point, they're projecting their experiences, which could be far different than your experience.
Yep.
So if you say, "Hey, my uncle passed away," and then another person who wasn't close to their uncle passed away, say, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel." No, ma'am, you don't. Our situations are not the same, and therefore, I'm going to send you back to where you came from, and I'm going to reject this assistance. You have to be easy and serious on doing that.
Good people. I want y'all to know that, ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by the car group STL. Come on. You got to get the people what they want.
We need some of those bills in here.
What's up? I'm gonna get him. I gotta talk to Ethan about that. I'm gonna get him. Okay, so I'm not even gonna ask that. Have you ever had therapy? It's a question for you. Have you ever had therapy for your loss?
Yes.
You have? Daniel says yes. Kaylee, have you had therapy?
No.
No. Aisha, have you had therapy?
No.
Okay. LaTanya, have you had therapy?
Over 9 years.
Wonderful. You sought professional help and therapy. Wonderful. Dr. Carr, we already know where you are with that. Dr. Carr is a professional in this field. Okay. So are you against it or are you for it, Aisha? Because you haven't went through, or have you not had the proper exposure or opportunity for it?
That part. Because it's like, I could tell you my feelings. I have to get real close to you, though. I have to make sure you're that.
Come on.
I have to understand you before you understand me first.
You want to make sure that you got to build that trust. Come on. So you've had therapy.
Yes.
Give me a little snippet real quick.
Okay, so
Not about your sessions or nothing like that,
Okay.
but you went through it. You
yeah.
still going through it, or you don't like it. What's up?
the lady left me. Yes.
Okay, there we go.
She left. Well, now at first I was open for it. Well, at the beginning I didn't like it. I didn't want it. I rejected it. But my mom said that was the best thing for me, so I went on and did it. The lady left me, I want to say 6 months before my thing was supposed to end. So I just went on ahead and left it alone and started coping by myself,
Okay.
And now I'm totally against it only because I don't know what she wanted to do with the information. I don't know how she.
You want to start over again.
That's what I'm saying. And now is a limitation on who I want to tell, who I want to describe it to, who I want to let everything go against. Because I told her everything. I let her know everything. Anything that I felt, every time I felt something, called her, let her know. And now it's like you betrayed the trust that you are so-called supposed to keep. You know what I'm saying? So
the
now
connection.
it's like, and they tried to reassign me like 5 different people, and I denied it every time because it's like, I can't know if you're gonna do the same thing. Going back to the stages of grief, that's the same thing that you go through in life. You try to get over the hump. You try to get over the things, but it's always, cause like you said, coming back around the corner. It meets you right there. So.
I wanted to mention that
Come on.
I at first when I started therapy, I was against it because in my family, my mom would always say, don't tell them our secrets, the Black stigma I was talking about. And so I was hesitant going in. And obviously, as I mentioned before, it has helped me. One thing I would wish I did with my therapy is I wish I would have had a Black therapist that looked like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure if there's anything I tell you today is one thing I want you to know is that actually Megan Thee Stallion has a website called badbitcheshavebaddays2.com.
Come on.
In it is a platform where you can find therapy from women of color. And it's a suicide and crisis lifeline on there, substance abuse line, Mental Health America. There's different foundations that you can reach out to. There's therapy for Black girls, therapy for Black women, LGBTQ+. It is a really good website. And it's badbitcheshavebaddays2.com. And I would recommend anyone who needs therapy, who's thinking about it, who's not sure, wants to find a therapist of color, to look on this website because you're going to find someone that you might be able to talk to. So
that's dope. I like that.
Interesting.
That is wonderful. Wow. Man, y'all got me out here today. These kids are speaking. Dr. Carr, I want to ask you this. What are some common misconceptions about grief among young adults? These kids.
I think the biggest one is that they don't experience it.
Come on! Emotions and whoo!
Yeah, I mean, I think that people, even us as African Americans, I think we get so caught up in, well, that's just how things go. That's just how life is.
Come on, talk to us, please.
We like to lean, and not to put down my man across from me, but we are so culturally, we're so wrapped up in religion, not Christianity or spiritualism, but religion, that we think that and this is not to contradict what your beliefs or anything, but prayer fixes everything, and it does. But I also believe that God provided or has given us the tool of therapy and counseling to help us with this. So whereas an 80-some-year-old mom would say, if you tell her you're struggling, and she'll say, "Oh, honey, I'm gonna pray for you," well, that might not yield immediate results for me and what I need right now.
Right.
But I believe two things at once: cognitive dissonance. I believe that I believe in religion. I also believe in science as a practitioner. So I know that because I've had clients to come in who has had parents who tried to pray them out of their ailments or and it didn't result, and people have come close to to unaliving themselves
Right.
based on their experiences. So we need to, as a culture, understand that mental health, whether you're a believer or not, is a result and is a resolution. And that these young people are out here struggling in ways that some of our parents and grandparents would never understand.
Nope.
Because
Right.
they're still struggling because they had that stigmatism
Yeah.
that everything is okay. This is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the norm.
Yeah.
Let's not do it.
You know, they'll be like, the Bible say you when you're born you have a death day. I understand that, but it doesn't change how I feel about losing who I lost.
Exactly.
Well, I heard everything said, but I want to defer. Only because I know prayer can help on the spot. Speaking from experiences where I done lost family members and seen them come back like that. You get what I'm saying? Not saying what you're saying is wrong, not saying all of it, but what I can say is I know God to be on the spot God. You know? And I know certain
Based on your experience.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Also that
what
too,
you've seen.
but also because God is not a man that he shall lie. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, I know, and the way the word is percepted it to be now is that it's that, well, if God allowed this to be, why won't he fix or try to switch the situation? Well, God gave us a thing called free will. And with free will, there's something that we have put on ourselves that we can make it to where we can control. You know what I'm saying? I won't say our destiny or our decisions, but we can control our decisions. And of a man and a woman named Adam and Eve, sin came into the world. You know what I'm saying? Not to defer and take us differently, but with that being said, now we have a state of sin, grief, and death. Death came into the world as soon as sin hit. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, yes, I understand that. Yes, I'm not saying science isn't real. I'm not saying none of that. But what I am saying is we have a thing called free will. That means that I'm not going to say that we are our own boss, if that makes sense, but we control our decisions. You get what I'm saying?
Correct.
So with that being said, the things that we do, we put up on ourselves. You know, not saying that God doesn't know, not saying that God isn't merciful and just, but what I am saying is God will help if he see, you know what I'm saying? If he sees that there's a need and that our heart is right with him and that we are really sincere about the situation, then God will step in. You know, not saying, again, I also say that because in the situation on, well, is my heart right? Is my heart not towards God? You know, I can't tell you those things. You know, that's a thing between you and prayer. But also, like you said, with the mother that tried to bring her daughter out of those situations, depends on where the heart is. You know, because her heart might not have been to God. Her heart might not have been to, I'm trying to pray my daughter out of this. It might have been, I just don't like the situation my daughter in. And I'm trying to use resolutions and results that I've seen happen for myself to work it out. You know, that might have been what it been. But also, I can't say because I wasn't there, one, and two, I'm not God. I can't tell you things, but I also can tell you what I do know. What I do know to be true. You get what I'm saying?
So you're agreeing with him, but you're saying in your experience,
Yes, ma'am.
you know that prayer really helped you out.
Yes,
You've
ma'am.
seen it for your own self.
Yes, ma'am.
And you saying that at that point, she probably really couldn't help, but she was like, but in her experience,
Yeah.
she said, well, look, I'm going to pray because I know that this is what I'm used to and this will help.
Yeah.
And he's speaking further into it like, yeah, that helps. But let's be realistic at the same time. We're right here
course.
while we're in reality, right?
Yeah, because this will take into a whole different direction. But I think in those situations, you have to understand. And again, I'm a believer. I was raised in church. I'm well versed on the Bible. But that's a belief system. That it's a reality that we choose to lean in, and a shoulder that we choose to lean on, and a rock that we place ourselves. But that's just one small subsect of the world. There's people out here who have no belief in that. So what do we suggest for those people? Because we're not supposed to force our beliefs on anyone. We can lead them there, and then they choose to go or not. But what do we do for those people? As a psychologist, if somebody comes to me for help, I can't pull out a Bible at my desk and say, hey, let's pray about it. Because that doesn't offer them any resolutions if there's not their belief system. They may believe in aliens. They may believe that they're a mechanism on the back of a turtle. and we're all in a matrix. You know, you just have
here,
to the
I've
one
seen some stuff.
man, come on, here.
Anime.
The one constant amongst all belief systems, all religions, all is that
There's one higher power.
There's a higher
there's
power.
a higher power, and the provisions that they set for each group are there. And some people have chosen to opt that the medical realm and science is the miracles that the current miracles that God has given us. But I just think some of those traditions sometimes get lost, and people get distracted by what's now and what's most relevant.
I get what other people come from like not believing in God. Because God does not give you everything that you ask for.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, hey, God, I need this, he does not give it to you always. Now, there is sometimes when you say, hey, God, I need this, and you really need it, and God comes and give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Out of nowhere, surprising.
Yes.
Come on.
But for those people, when they ask for something from God and he does not give it to them, I think that's the reason. That they don't believe in God.
Because it's like, exactly.
Because he don't give them everything that they want.
And it could be 10 years from now that you get that, but he gonna give it to you when it's your time.
Of course.
But in that moment, guess where I need to go? I need to go to that psychiatrist or psychologist. I need to go to where, depending on the situation. But when what we talking about as far as therapy, I would need to go to that way, right? Because nothing happens immediately. But I know if I go there, I'm being guided. Right here on this earth, right where I need to be. I'm being guided in a situation and in a path that I probably need to take right now. Otherwise, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go smoke 10 blunts and I'm going to go do this and do this. But the moment I go talk to Dr. Cara and Kaylee, then I'm like, man, you know what? I ain't even need to do that.
And then, I mean, since we're discussing this through the lens of belief systems, I believe rather that, because the Bible does say if you make one step, I'll make two. So a lot of times we as humans in 2024 need to be comfortable with making that step one. Now, we like to go straight into whatever. But I believe that step one is asking for help, acknowledging one that you needed, two, pursuing resolution, and then God will see that effort and then bless the situation, bless you out of whatever it is that you're going through. That's what I believe.
Yes.
See, well, it's two things at once. I believe in the science aspect and the religion, but we've gotten so comfortable with just dealing with whatever we're going through and thinking that that's just our lives, our entire life suck because it's one thing happened to us and we don't know what to do. So our whole life suck and there's nothing we can do. Yeah. But that's definitely not the case.
Yeah, you need both. I'm not gonna say you need. In my opinion, like we're all discussing. You need the therapy and you need God. In my opinion, that's how I feel because I'm in mental health.
Because some people might say they need Allah.
Right. So everybody believes in their own version of God. But in my opinion, me working in mental health, I see therapy working. I see me working with the kids that I work with, all the coping skills that I do with them, it works, it helps them. And then on the other side, flip side, they might be religious and they might pray to a God, that they believe in as well. And that can help too. So, I could see both sides, helping with whatever anybody's going through.
Well, I'm asking this because we got two young people sitting here, and LaTanya, I'll start with you. How can parents and I wouldn't even say friends, but I'll say friends as well because they can learn something because they're young and they might have young friends who can learn something if they end up listening to this episode. How can parents and friends or even adults in general help support teenagers or young adults who are grieving? And what are some healthy ways to help them? In your opinions.
In my experience of working with kids, I've been in education for over 20 years, working with all levels. Right now I'm with college students. I would say one of the main things I learned is let them talk. To just listen, and don't just listen to talk, listen to listen.
Yep.
And be an ear for that student. Ask questions about their feelings because some students, you may be surprised how many students never get asked about their feelings. I remember a few years ago, I asked an organization of young Black women, I asked all of them in the room, I said, how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? And can you believe all of them started crying?
Wow.
Because they were never asked that. How you doing? How are
it happens.
you?
Man, I saw a meme.
Asking questions, let them talk. And, some want to go to therapy. Ask if they want to go to therapy. If they don't, that's okay. But just be an ear. I've learned to be an ear for students. And for parents, I would say, aside from listening and letting them talk, if they would like to go to therapy, ask the student if they want to go to therapy. They might be like, no, I don't want to, and that's okay. But ask if you want to go to therapy together or even by yourself. And if they don't, then that's no big deal. But one of the main things is parents, they tell students how they feel. They tell their kids how they feel, and don't give them a voice.
Come on.
And it's really important that you allow them. I mean, hell, that's what you're doing, Angel. You need to let kids have a voice, because sometimes adults, parents especially, try to speak for them and don't give them that chance. And it's important that they do that.
And a lot of times these parents ain't got it together, and they're just going off their experience and their own personal opinions or whatever.
And kids are different now. They're different.
Very much so. Dr. Carr, can you go ahead and can you piggyback off that?
Absolutely. I saw, and I'm pretty sure most of us have saw that, where Tia Mowry was on her show after going through her situation, and the young lady said, "How are you feeling?" And she just broke down. I think we get so caught up in our own feelings and how we can affect someone else's feelings that we forget to ask how you feel, right? I know for a fact growing up, and I remember I was a bad kid, and I had a lot going on, but I remember telling my granny one day, "I'm sad." And she's like, "Boy, ain't nothing wrong with you. You just need to." And then like, well, no, I know what sadness is. I know how I feel. And this is a normal. And, it gets brushed under the rug, and then you learn to deal with it. And it becomes muscle memory to have that feeling. And you just think that, oh, that's just how I am. I'm quiet. I don't like to talk. That's just how I am. And I have stuff going on in my mind that no one has asked me about or given me the opportunity to discuss.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like young people and old people, they will tell you exactly how to help them or how to get them through whatever the situation is. And they do that verbally, and your responsibility and your only reaction to be that you listen. Because if somebody say what's wrong, if I ask this young man across from me what's wrong with him, he's going to tell me everything that's wrong with him, and I'm going to know how to help him based on the things that he said, not my own experiences.
Correct. And you said you had an example. You said a meme.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to talk about.
Oh, okay. I want to make sure I ain't missed that. Yeah. So that's what I want to say. First of all, this is the end of our episode, but I want to just say that I want to thank you two young people for coming on this episode, because this is the Angels Online, Voices of the Unheard, and my job is to connect youth and adults in open dialogue, and regardless of the circumstances and situations, because the same thing you went through, she went through, you went through, so somebody went through it. You understand what I'm saying? And our job is to give you a voice so these adults can learn, man, their kids are probably going through this at home. We want to know how you're doing. We want to know what's going on. We want to know how we can help you. So you have the Angels Online. We want to figure out how we can help you, what resources we need, because we can hear you. We understand what you're saying because we see it. That's why I do what I do, because I know you can't talk to every counselor. They might not understand that you're grieving in that certain way. Every teacher might be trying to figure you out. They're figuring you out because you ain't getting your work done. They're figuring you out. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. You understand? So I understand you and I see you. You understand? You break down at school, ain't nothing wrong with it. Continue to cry. Continue to cry. I got plenty of men that you can call and cry to that they gonna listen because they understand. Latanya, I thank you so much for being on the episode as usual. Now, and everybody else. But before we leave, everybody got to give a good people, good people. Latanya, we're gonna start with you. Give me a good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
There you give me a good people, good people.
Good people, good people.
Hey, Shaw. Look at her. You better come on now. We waiting on you.
How do you say it?
However you say it.
Good people, good people.
There you go.
Okay. Kaylee.
Good people, good people.
Gosh. Dr. Carl, Dante.
Good people, good people.
Woo-wee! Ladies and gentlemen, this is Season 4, Episode 1, Journey Through Grief. Good people, good people. You got to get a people what they want. Woo!
Good people, good people.